There's a very strong argument for someone who wants to access the funding markets regularly to have a prudent and balanced framework in place. And that includes going to both banks for financing with loans, but also going to the markets for bonds and sukuks. I think at the margin, anyone who's taking a strategic view will see the bond and sukuk market as something that's going to fulfil their long-term needs and will be there for them in good times and in bad times. Yeah. In general terms, this event is important to the GCC credit markets, just because of the stage of the evolution. Obviously, more developed European and US markets are much more mature, and the GCC, I guess, is playing catch up to that. But also in the context of recent economical events, particularly with the pressures from oil prices, what that means for governments and their fundings. I think this event creates an opportunity for people to come together, discuss what that means, and work out how we take this market to the next level. The three key things that I'd like to leave with the audiences tomorrow is that, first of all, they need to take a strategic focus on their funding. That means looking at all the options that are available, not favouring banks or sukuk markets, one or the other. They all come together as a whole package, and not to be transactional in their approach to their funding, but to actually have a strategic view. The second point, I think, is that it's important that issuers or people looking for funding look at all the aspects that are involved in having a successful program. That includes building out other things like investor relations and in improving their disclosures that makes access to those markets much easier for them in the future. And the third thing that I would like to leave with them is just the development of the liquidity in the sukuk market. It's important for regional banks like Noor Bank and our local counterparts to step up and play more of an active role in these markets, because we find that international banks, when the weather is bad, extract their presence, have less capital, less risk appetite, and we don't want to be caught out again when they pack up and go home. For Noor Bank, it had its first issuance last month in the public sukuk market. We went to market and raised $500 million sukuk. It was significant for Noor Bank because this was our first public foray, if you like. We're a privately owned bank, so we don't have shareholders. So this is our first step into publicising ourselves on the global market. It was a very successful issue. It priced very well. And I think one of the most important things for us is that 46% of the investors came from outside the Middle Eastern region.